Hello and welcome to Allegedly Astrology. Each week we break down the astrology that happened during some of the biggest scandals and events in history.
Thanks so much to everyone for listening to our show. If you want to support us, you can leave us a 5-star review and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on.
And if you do leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and DM us a screenshot of your review, we'll make you a custom meme of your big three and send you a quick write-up about it.
We also have a very cool and exclusive Patreon, so if you want more awesome astrology content, join us at patreon.com/allegedlyastrology.
Make sure to follow us. We're Allegedly Astrology on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and Allegedly Astro on Twitter. You could also visit our website, allegedlyastrology.com, to learn more about us, the show, and book a reading with Dana.
Please.
Yes. Please book a reading with Dana. She's the best. So, Dana, what are we discussing on today's episode?
Today, we're discussing part 2 of our series about Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's friendship, and this was a request from Sophia. We love you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia.
So, in part 1, we talked about their friendship and their synastry, and now we're going to talk about their alleged fallout. So, reminder, Taylor and Blake's friendship drama is linked to Taylor being dragged into Blake's legal dispute with Justin Baldoni. And this is a legal feud that's been going on since December 2024.
This battle eventually resulted in Taylor being served a subpoena from Justin's lawyers because they wanted communications between her, Blake, and their respective legal teams.
And in case you don't know legal jargon, a subpoena is a legal document that makes a person have to appear in court, give testimony, or produce documents or other evidence related to a legal case. Like, you pretty much can't say no.
Yes, and this has put a strain on Taylor and Blake's relationship, allegedly, because Taylor is like, truly, I do not want to be in your legal drama. So she allegedly took some space away from Blake. So, Dana, what was going on when Taylor Swift was subpoenaed?
This was May 8th, 2025, and on this day, the sun was in Taurus and the moon was in Libra. So Libra is a sign of lawyers in court. So an official court document being served or summons. And the sun in Taurus and the moon in Libra also means that the sun is in their Davidson first house, since their Davidson's a Taurus rising, which shines a spotlight on the condition of their friendship. Also, it's new beginnings related to the security of their bond and just their bond in general. So it could spotlight, what they're going to be working on for the next year. And the moon conjunct their Davidson sun is calling for a reevaluation of their goals. It's the essential nature of friendship. It's transiting the 6th house of the Davidson chart, which is duties. A subpoena, like Elise said, you can't really avoid it. And then the transiting sun was conjunct Uranus. Transiting sun is also square Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a T-square, a fixed sign T-square. Really not wanting to move, but also being forced to anyway and digging in your heels no matter what. The moon was co-present with Lilith. It was opposite Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and Chiron in Aries. So this is feeling prickly, cautious. There are trust issues present. Not necessarily feeling betrayed in a relationship, but Lilith is about betrayal, especially in Libra, relationship betrayal. So wanting to guard against betrayal, maybe, being a little wary in relationships. Moon was trine Jupiter in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. So this is generating buzz and gossip, air signs. And the moon was opposite Neptune is anxiety, confusion, and dealing with others. Moon trine Pluto reveals the truth, where to cut your losses. Moon opposite Venus is trouble in paradise, being blindsided, feeling like you're being asked to sacrifice too much of yourself, especially because Venus was in detriment in Aries and it was ruling the Libra moon. So it's conflict in essential nature. And then Mercury is conjunct Chiron. This is reminiscing, feeling sad, realizing maybe things weren't what you thought they were. Also an opportunity to repair and heal. Mercury and Chiron opposite Lilith is getting burned by others, feeling burned by others. Moon sextile Mars is strategic action. So this is a subpoena is pretty strategic action. And then Uranus was exactly opposite Taylor's Mars. So this is very significant. Mars rules Taylor's 4th house of family and her 11th house of friends. So let me say that again. Mars rules Taylor's Aries 4th house of family and Scorpio 11th house of friends. Uranus is shock and surprise, and in oppositions, it's related to being surprised in a relationship by someone else. And this is important. So her natal Mars is at 26 degrees Scorpio. Uranus was at 26 degrees Taurus from July 7th through August 7th, 2024, from September 27th through October 28th, 2024, and finally from April 25th through May 12th, 2025. All of these dates reflect sort of when this drama was going on. The July to August, I mean, the inciting event or the premiere of, what was that movie called?
It ends with us.
It Ends With Us was like the first week of August. And so maybe she had a clue of what was happening in the month leading up. I don't know. And then
Yeah,
I
I mean,
feel
I
like,
feel like this drama was going on for a long time, like while the movie was being made, while they were in edits. So once they made it to the premiere and the press tour, it was very clear there was a rift. And obviously, if Taylor is Blake's best friend, she would have known all about it.
yeah, good point. Especially because Taylor's, again, her Mercury trining Blake's midheaven, Blake would go to her for advice. And so Mars in Leo was transiting Taylor's 8th house of sharing. And as I said, Mars rules Taylor's 4th house of family and 11th house of friends. So this also relates to being asked for favors, perhaps forcibly, right? Being like, you need to do this. So a lot of times the 8th house is where we have no control, and Mars transiting the 8th house could be like forcing you to do something you don't necessarily want to do. Pluto in Aquarius is conjunct Taylor's natal Venus. So this is power games and friendships. How far will you go for a friend? Also, like people trying to get to Taylor's like private. Her Venus in Aquarius in her 2nd house is very private. It's what she owns. And I mean, I guess this also relates to her buying back her masters, but it's just generally feeling very guarded and feeling like power games are, afoot. Also, Taylor is in a 12th house Sagittarius Jupiter year. The 12th house relates to hidden enemies. The ruler of her 12th house is Jupiter. Her natal Jupiter is exalted in Cancer in her 7th house of established partnerships. And so being betrayed by a trusted confidant isn't out of the question. Even just, I guess, appearing to be betrayed could fall underneath that umbrella.
Damn. Do you guys imagine if our text messages were subpoenaed?
Oh my God, it would be
At
so
least we would go down
awkward.
together because
We would perish.
yeah.
Truly.
I know. So crazy. We have to think about our communications more, but are we going to do that? Absolutely
No,
not.
that's the foundation of this podcast.
It's literally,
I
this
literally-
podcast is our group chat manifested.
I just recently was like, you need to stop talking shit on Microsoft Teams. And even then, I'm like, but will I
Nah.
stop? No.
That's so funny. Like,
But yeah, as you can imagine, Taylor's legal team is not pleased with the subpoena. They argued that it was an abuse of the discovery process and an attempt to distract from the core issues of the case. Bringing in Taylor just made it more of a media circus.
A spokesperson for Taylor said Taylor was only involved in licensing her song, My Tears Ricochet, for the film and was never on set. She was not involved in any casting or creative decision. She did not score the film. She never saw an edit or made any notes on the film. And she did not see It Ends With Us until weeks after its public release because she was on the very successful Eras tour.
Or because she knew the movie was bad.
Because of that.
And
JK,
then,
not JK.
and then Justin's lawyers started a rumor from an anonymous source that Blake tried to extort Taylor by threatening to release 10 years worth of their private text messages if Taylor didn't publicly support Blake after her lawsuit claims.
Because when this initial feud with Justin Baldoni was going on, a bunch of people that were friends with Blake had publicly supported her, but Taylor Swift notably did not. But I mean, I know it's her friend, but to me, it's like, I wouldn't involve myself in this like messy ass drama
No
Yeah,
when I
way.
don't even know if it's true or not.
Exactly. And I doubt Blake would have extorted Taylor like that. But
Also, it's not like Taylor has a history of like being very vocal in terms of like anything that's political or, legal,
I mean,
especially that's not
yes.
related to exactly like just her, right? She's very outspoken with regards to things that occur to her, which is cool, but like she's not like
Well, she
a
did come
spokesperson.
out. She like came out to say not to vote for Donald Trump like the first time
Right.
in the
but that
first
was like
election.
a huge deal when she did that
Mhm.
because she hadn't like previously endorsed anyone or brought politics into her campaigns. And But
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't really like a Taylor thing to do to get involved, especially when it,
Yeah.
it involves a lawsuit. Like, no, thank you. So
Yeah.
Justin's lawyers actually took this rumor to Blake's a rumor about Blake's threat and filed it in court, which is crazy. You can just file rumors in court. Like, what's going on with the legal
I
system?
want to become a rumor lawyer.
Ooh. And again, the lawyer declined to identify the person that said it, but the source claimed Taylor's lawyers told Blake's lawyers that this was an extortion and it ended the call. They then allegedly sent Blake's lawyers a memo that was like, this is what we interpreted what you said on the call as. So that's why it was like a little confusing.
Yeah. So Justin's lawyer is trying to get this memo that Taylor Swift's lawyers sent to Blake's lawyer saying, we interpreted your ask as extortion to show that Blake is like an awful person. And that is why they are subpoenaing Taylor Swift.
And like, let's be clear, there's no way that Taylor was like on the call with these lawyers. Blake was not on the call with these lawyers. It's literally like their lawyers are talking back and forth and they're using whatever legal tactics that they have. And obviously, when we hear something like extortion, it sounds like very intense. But they might have just been like, this is why we're not going to give you these records or whatever.
If it even happened.
If it even
they're not,
happened.
because Taylor's lawyers and Blake's lawyers are not talking about records. They were just, for some reason, talking to each other about something. And it came up that, like, if Taylor didn't publicly support Blake, then Blake allegedly would release the text messages. So that's like what their lawyers were talking about. It has like nothing to do necessarily with this case.
Interesting. So
Again, this is like an anonymous source. So people don't
Yeah.
even know if it's like necessarily real.
yeah, like who could this person be? But anyway,
Could
Blake's
it be?
lawyers say that Justin's lawyers are making insane claims that are untrue and just trying to defame her yet again.
And Taylor's lawyers now also chimed in saying the allegations that Justin's lawyers made are irrelevant to the case. So, what was going on when Justin's lawyers sent this letter to the judge about this alleged extortion?
This was May 14th, 2025, and the sun was in Taurus, the moon was in Sagittarius, and it's 2 days after a full moon in Scorpio opposite Uranus, which was conjunct Taylor's natal Mars. So full moons represent culmination points. That's when information is revealed to us. Full moons conjunct Uranus reveal surprising information. We can be caught off guard by these revelations. Also, like a lot of swift moves are happening. It's kind of like ping pong. And
Honey, swift move.
oh, I didn't even mean to be that way.
Swift moves.
The full moon conjunct Uranus or the full moon opposite Uranus. The full moon conjunct Taylor's Mars opposite Uranus, which again, her Mars rules her 4th house of family and her 11th house of friendships, represents learning information regarding these topics, regarding family and friends. And I mean, it seems like Blake is someone who she considers both. And the full moon in Taylor's 11th house of friendship is like a culmination point regarding friendships. Also, like friendships that you like publicly associate with. So it definitely represents her like laying low from the friendship in public. So, I mean, it definitely is reflective of the present moment. Power games too, I guess, which is ultimately what this all comes down to.
It's all comes
Ultimately,
down
what it
to
all comes down
this.
to is power games. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Okay, so this subpoena for Taylor is dropped. The judge says to Justin's lawyer that he is misusing the court docket and that his actions are improper and that if he does this again, he might get sanctioned.
So
Damn.
then Blake's legal team filed a motion to sanction Justin's legal team because they're saying that the Taylor Swift subpoena was an obvious tactic to seed harassing media narratives against Blake. So, what was going on when Taylor's subpoena was dropped?
Honestly, all of this really makes me want to be a lawyer, which it just sounds so dumb. All of it is like, I don't know. Anyway, dumb but interesting. So the spokesperson or the subpoena was dropped on May 22nd, 2025, my birthday. The sun was newly in Gemini, the moon was in Pisces, conjunct the North Node and Saturn before moving into Aries, where it was conjunct Neptune. The sun in Gemini was ruled by Mercury in Taurus, which is about maintaining security. So Mercury, of course, modifies Gemini's expression, and it's not as much about being a silly goose as it is about really gathering information that relates to one's security and not giving more than that. The moon in Pisces is wistful. Moon conjunct the North Node can show outcomes that aren't yet finished or ones that couldn't have been planned for. And the moon conjunct Saturn at the final degree of Pisces, 29 degrees Pisces, the final degree of the zodiac, is about symbolic endings, especially since the moon is the fastest planet and Saturn is the slowest traditional planet, the slowest visible planet. So it's really a symbolic ending. And then Mars in Leo is conjunct Taylor's South Node in her 8th house. So this is what she was being asked for is being phased out. This isn't the end of that. She's doesn't have to contribute
She's done.
with the request.
This is
Yeah.
no longer a thing.
Dunzo.
Dunzo. This subpoena is dunzo. So sources say that Taylor and Blake are said to be working towards being on good terms, but that their friendship just isn't the same as it was before. Which, regardless of whether it's because of this, obviously it seems like it might be, but also Taylor is entering a new phase of life. This is a 10-year cycle almost, a friendship completed. People grow apart. She's kind of in a new sort of social scene with her dating Travis now. And I feel maybe she is just focusing on different things. So I don't know if it has to be so dramatic as everyone's making it seem. But, it's pretty shitty to subpoena your friend. So.
Yeah, it's not, I feel like I think if your friend is just with the whole Blake thing, it is so messy. So just to be
It's just
sucked
messy,
into
yeah.
it is a little ridiculous. Although, again, I feel like with Justin and Blake, when we covered it the first time, we were it is possible for both of them to just suck. Obviously,
Right.
the media is very quick to turn on a woman.
Yeah.
Possible
But
and likely.
yeah. But I also think Justin Baldoni's lawyers have done weird things. They talked about if they subpoenaed Taylor Swift and she came, they would rent out a whole stadium to have people watch her, watch it live. So they are saying things that are very media circusy. So I
Yeah.
think that's why the judge was kind of literally get out of here.
I feel very much that lawyers now they don't just have to know the law, they have to know what to do to sway the public. And it's just
Yeah.
most cases are won in the court of public opinion. We saw it with Karen Reed. We see it with so many other things too, like Sherry Papini. Those are two complete opposite ends of the spectrum where one woman was believed and one woman wasn't. Obviously there's very different cases, but it really has to do with what people think. And so I feel like Justin's lawyers are playing this game really dirtily,
Yeah.
but he is seeming to be winning in the court of public opinion. And at the end of the day, when all of this is said and done, what matters?
Yeah. Because I think the general consensus about Blake is that she is kind of an uppity bitch. So I think because of that, she is not very likable. So I think it's easy to believe someone is super annoying or does all of this stuff and is very controlling when they're not
Right.
likable to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
There's a video of her on a panel from Gossip Girl. There's something about prison, and then she's like, well, some of us were born there because Leighton Meester was born in prison.
what?
It's so awkward, and Leighton Meester's just obviously kind of embarrassed, and no one knows what to say. And she's like, it's a joke. It's a joke. She also was in her early 20s. People should be forgiven,
Wait,
but it's so
Leighton
fucked
Meester
up.
was born in prison?
Yeah, her mom was in jail for a marijuana offense, I think.
Whoa. I didn't know any of that. We should do Leighton Meester and Adam Brody.
I love Leighton Meester.
I feel like they're a cute, synastry couple.
Yeah,
vibes,
I would love to do that.
maybe for Patreon. Let us know if you guys want us to talk about that. But anyway, The trial for this case is set for March 2026. So we are not done hearing about this. This will be something we'll hear a lot about next year, but I feel like for now, it's like the saga's dying down a little bit.
Yeah, Dana, do you have any predictions for Taylor and Blake's friendship?
Well, sure. So, just peeking at Taylor's 2024 solar return, she's in a 12th house, Sagittarius Jupiter year. I already said this. It activates her natal 12th house sun in Sagittarius and her 7th house Jupiter in Cancer. Her solar return ascendant was in Leo, conjunct stationary Mars. So, it was just stationed retrograde 6 days before her birthday. And in the 8th house for her, this is going to be about, prying into her personal life and forcing her to do things maybe she doesn't want to. The midheaven was conjunct her IC, and the IC conjunct her midheaven. So putting the personal becomes public, the public becomes personal. And she's obviously done a good job of fighting against that. Her Jupiter return, since she's in a Jupiter year, I mean, the Jupiter return is always significant, but it's especially significant because she's in a Jupiter year. So her Jupiter returned on July 13th. It's in her 7th house. On this chart, so I layered this chart with her solar return and her natal chart. So really, feel like this actually points a lot to relationship triumphs. The descendant is conjunct the North Node in Pisces. The ascendant is in Virgo in the 9th house, maybe getting engaged abroad. Jupiter is in the 11th house of friendship. So maybe patching things up, which could be, cool. And then her 2025 solar return, this is when she begins a first house year. Her ascendant's in Libra in the 10th house. So a good career year. And then Saturn, she'll begin one of two Saturn years is in Pisces in the 3rd house, her natal 3rd house, her solar return 6th house. Maybe she's getting back to work. The midheavens conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. I mean, she's beloved. None of this looks too new. Pluto's conjunct her Venus for a long time. The exact days are the exact future dates are August 24th, 2025 and December 1st, 2025. That could be shakeups in relationships, people trying to get things from her. I guess it could be also related to this case. And February 26th, her progressed Mars is conjunct her natal sun. This could surprise us. This is more of something that she might have a lot of energy. Maybe she gets pregnant. Maybe she gets married. Maybe she just comes out with a new project. And then looking at Blake's transits. So you said that the eclipse or that the trial is March 2026. There's a total lunar eclipse on March 3rd, 2026, and it's exactly conjunct Blake's natal moon. So this is wild. It's in her 2nd house. It's a south node eclipse. So
Is
it
this
could
boding well for her or no?
I mean, it's intense. I think she's actually beginning an era that's going to be tough. And then I think she will come out on top or in a way where, whether she's private or public, I do think it'll be good for her. Like, I think she might end up really authentically being well liked. This Saturn and Neptune are conjunct her natal North Node in Aries. It's not easy at all. She will be in a 3rd house year, so it's a Venus year. The eclipse is, again, it's a South Node eclipse. It's in her natal 2nd house. It could really expose her emotions. Maybe it could be about secrets because the moon rules her natal 12th house of secrets, but this could also be about like private things. The eclipse is in her 2nd house. So the moon's in the 2nd house. The sun is in a Pisces stellium. It's in her 8th house of therapy. And her natal moon rules her 12th house. So this seems like something private could be going on, but also private things could become public. There's a total solar eclipse on August 12th, 2026. And this is conjunct her natal ascendant. This is also a south node eclipse. It's the first eclipse that's on her ascendant-descendant axis for her. So this could be something about relationships. I mean, it could be about her and Justin, and it could be either, maybe she wins the case around this time. And I guess it could also be about repairing a friendship. Anything with the 1st or 7th house activated will be about, you and another. So that's interesting. And then there's a lunar eclipse on August 27th, 2026 in Pisces. This is tightly opposite her natal sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And so that's also going to be, this could be her like telling things and, this could be, I guess, us seeing her tell, on a stand, talking, divulging information. Neptune's conjunct her North Node, so she might not be sure of her future. This could be her trying new things. At this point, Jupiter had entered Leo and it's close to her ascendant. So this is, I think, where the rehabbing of her image comes in. This will be next summer, 2026. Jupiter enters Leo and she might be beginning to be well liked.
Interesting.
It could also be, like, uncomfortable because Jupiter transits are about growth. They're not about comfort. So it could be, like, her, I don't know, it could be a public apology to Taylor Swift, or it could be private. And then there's a solar eclipse on February 6th, 2027. I don't know how long eclipses usually go, but this one is a North Node solar eclipse conjunct her natal descendant. So if this lawsuit is going on for this long, it seems like maybe this could be a big point, a big stop on the lawsuit. It's ruled by Saturn in fall in Aries in her ninth house of courts, which could be her losing. Chiron will also be conjunct her natal Jupiter, which could be, getting a slap on the wrist, so to speak. Also, Mars is retrograde in Virgo, so she'll get 3 Mars returns at this point.
Whoa.
And yeah, she'll be dealing with that, which I think also will really change her. And then the lunar eclipse on February 20th, 2027 is conjunct her natal Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And the eclipse is also conjunct Mars retrograde. So this is a wild eclipse. This could be going back. This could be like having to pay out money. Jupiter and the South Node are also conjunct her ascendant. So this could be also maybe her going back to her sort of bread and butter. This could be her resettling into a friendship with Taylor Swift. She's currently in a second house Virgo Mercury year, and Mercury was retrograde in her first house in her solar return chart. And so that already is like going back. People coming out and talking about her not the way she wants to be talked. People also remember that like era where all those clips surfaced of her like being a freak. I mean, one of them was with a lady who then tried to make her, like, career all about celebrities who sucked, which then she sucked. When it was, like, the bump. Look at your little bump when she
Yeah.
was pregnant with what's her name? I love that lady who was
Parker
in
Posey.
Parker Posey. Also, the descendant was conjunct Pluto in her solar return chart, and that's tough, really facing real issues in relationships, and she was in her nodal return. So last year was definitely a fated year. 2025, a little easier. She is in a third house Libra Venus year. So this could be regathering, her sisters from other misters. The ascendant in this chart is in Libra and it's conjunct Mars. So really, Mars is in detriment in Libra, but it could also be like taking the reins on the friendships that, she maybe, left by the wayside, or things that were sacrificed to this lawsuit. Saturn and Neptune will be conjunct her North Node in Aries. So yeah, she's overall going to have to deal with like tough lessons. But I mean, overall, Saturn transiting her ninth house could be really tough for lawsuits in general, just because the ninth house has to do with courts. And the midheaven is conjunct Jupiter in this chart, though. So I think ultimately it'll be easier for sure than her current one. And then just looking at their Davison charts, so this is real meaty. So, okay, the Davison 2024 solar return, October 18th, 2024. This is when they started a first house, Taurus Venus year. The moon in Taurus means that things are going to be changing. So it's exalted moon, but it's in the first house. So things are changing with regards to like the face of the relationship. The ascendant was in Capricorn conjunct their natal Neptune. This is nebulous beginnings, nebulous endings. The midheaven is conjunct the sun. So a lot of spotlight on the publicity of the relationship. And ultimately what I think is crazy is that Saturn is conjunct the North Node in the 11th house. So it's like, it's putting an emphasis on the things that need to change in the friendship, and maybe just like faded endings, or just faded events that have to occur that Saturn has to sort of hash out. And then their 2025 solar return has the ascendant in Taurus, which is good in terms of carrying out what their whole relationship is about. Pluto is conjunct the midheaven, so this could really put them again in the power wheel, or like power seat, or they could be, or there could be power wars between the two of them. Neptune is conjunct Mars ruling their Davison 7th house in Scorpio and their 12th house. This, I feel like, is nebulous connections, maybe them leaking things about each other, or maybe people who are close to them leaking information about them. And the South Node is conjunct Venus and the South Node, so it's a nodal return. So once again, something significant that I'm not sure if I said yet is that they're in the nodal return of their Davison chart. They met when they were in the nodal opposition of their Davison chart. The nodal returns and oppositions are just going to be really big milestones in every relationship. But yeah, and one more thing. This is retrospective, but I just peeked at their composite chart, which has a Libra ascendant conjunct the sun, and then, of course, an Aries descendant. So whenever the nodes are in the first and seventh, whenever they're transiting the first and seventh house, this is when like major things happen for that relationship. Big beginnings, big endings, people spending a lot of time together, people stop spending time together. So this will be, we had the South Node transiting Libra from July 17th, 2023 through January 11th, 2025. So this was tough on their relationship. It definitely put a strain on things. Maybe it felt like, getting back to old things, but then it became tough, of course, and it just slid them right into their nodal return. So this is all a milestone in their relationship. Where it goes, I'm not necessarily sure, but Pluto conjunct the midheaven could be, I guess it could be a private breakup that we eventually hear about. So, but in December and January is when I would expect big things to happen. That's their Davidson nodal return and their composite nodal return. So
Of this year?
of December 2025, January 2026
Okay.
is when we should expect significant events related to their friendship.
Whether we hear about them or not.
Yeah, it's definitely whether we hear about them or not. But eventually, I think it would tie back to that era for sure.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, Blake once again is going through it. The reason that I was able to use my powers, which wasn't using powers at all, the eclipses were hitting Blake and Ryan Reynolds' charts in such a way that I was like, it seems like they'll be in the news. So yeah, Blake has a big few years coming up.
Damn. All right. Well, we will see where this friendship goes, where this trial goes. We'll obviously keep you guys posted. But yeah, a lot to unpack here. Yeah. Well, this was part 2 of our series on Blake and Taylor's friendship. And with that, I'm Elise.
I'm Dana.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Allegedly Astrology.
Bye.
Thank you.